I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I want you to continue. I want you to continue.
Can't you? You are not there.
Yeah,
I'm just getting a blank screen.
that way. I'll set it that way.
Uh,
Yes, yes. Continue and welcome to Gachie Skyman TV.
thank you so much. I appreciate.
Yeah, yeah. How is America?
America, we are good. At least the location I'm in is okay. The weather is changed now. At least it's not cold. We have the Kenyan the Kenyan weather here, and I know you guys are having floods all over.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Otherwise, maybe I can give you some few minutes to introduce yourself to Gachie Skyman TV and maybe to our fans.
Yes, I am here today as a visitor, as a guest by the invitation of the tallest man in Africa, or is it the world? I wonder how tall are you, by the way?
She's over 6.5.
Six
At
five.
6.5, over 6.5.
Then I would say you are just the tallest man in that village, and not the world.
I like that. I like that.
Anyway, thank
It
you
is
so
just
much for inviting me.
uh,
I would like to take this opportunity to say hi to all the patrons of this program, this Skyman TV. You've been doing a very good job, and it's an honor to be here today.
thank
My
you.
name is George Mbagara. I am a Kenyan. Mi ni Mkenya halisi, najua kuongea mpaka lugha ya taifa. But currently I reside in USA. I've been here for some time now. I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky people who have been out of the country so that we can have a better view of our country. I love my country, Kenya. And there is no better place. I've been to a few places in this world, but I have never seen a better place than Kenya. So Wakenya, tujue tuko mahali mzuri,
Mhm.
hatujatoka mahali mbaya. It's one of the best places. Actually, it's the best place I've ever been to, the whole of
Uh,
this world.
okay, you have been to many places, and we want to compare Kenya to those places.
I wouldn't say I've ever seen anything outside, or even in this America, I wouldn't say that I have seen anything that I've never seen in Kenya. So Kenya is as good as America, if not, and it's much better. At least we have social life back home. We have people who are friendly. People here are not as friendly as we are. Life is pretty different. The culture is different, and yeah, we have so many good things in our country that you don't find elsewhere.
Oh,
Kenyans
thank
are
you.
very friendly people. They are very helpful, and they actually are out there for one another. That is one thing you don't find in many places. Kenyans are so loving, welcoming, and kind. That is something you won't find in America. America, it's fanya lako nenda.
Mhm.
Even saying hi to anybody is a big deal. To tell you the truth, I've been where I'm staying in my neighborhood. The people who stay on my right and the people who stay on my left. I've been here for 15 years and I don't know their names.
What do you mean, John?
I don't know them.
So, guys,
And I
so
have no business, and they have no business with me. Wewe ingia kwako, funga mlango, amka asubuhi, enda shughuli zako, kuja jioni, ingia kwa nyumba yako. That's how life is in America. If I show you the street out here, you might take like 3 hours before you see anybody walking
mhm,
across there. And
mhm.
if you happen to lift a hand like this for somebody, sometimes they might even choose not to see what you are doing. So
So,
here you mind your own business. Life is lonely. It's very
yeah,
lonely here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So we have a good thing about our country. There are so many good things about our country.
so, George, a minute. Let me reintroduce you again because of when we started, we didn't
Yes.
have people. You see, now we are 26. So,
Oh,
for
very
those
good.
for those who are joining this channel, this is George Bagara, all the way from USA, and he's joining us as our guest, and he's going to tell us more about maybe our country. He has been to Kenya, he has been to many countries, he loves politics, he has a channel, George Bagara, and maybe you can also visit him. Guys, I want you to interact with our visitor. Welcome, George, guys. Welcome, George. And he is going to actually tell us what is happening, maybe because they have been following what is happening in our country currently. May George, maybe you can actually greet them again and feel free.
Okay, karibuni wale wamekuja baadaye. I can't see the stream, so I can't be able to read the names. I wish I could, but it's okay. Asanteni sana kwa kunikaribisha. My name is, the Skyman has said, my name is George Mbagara. I am a Kenyan. I was born in Kenya. I was born in a place called Mangu. For those that will know, Mangu, a place called Kairi. And I am an ancient. I am not a young man. It was quite a while when I was born. So I have been in America, basically New York, for the last 16 years. I came here to work, and I am working. I'm retiring officially. I will retire next year in October. And after that, my plans are to come back home. Yes. I'm a Kenyan. Mimi ni Mkenya damu. Damu kabisa, mimi ni Mkenya. So as soon as I get my retirement, I'm coming to stay in Kenya. And I don't want to say the word. It almost came out of my mouth, which I hate. The hustler name. I hate that name. I'm not a hustler. I don't like anybody calling me a hustler. So
why do you hate George?
Sorry?
Why do you hate?
Hustler is an acceptance of something like poverty. And I hate poverty. I hate poverty with all my the last drop of my blood hates poverty. And when you start introducing that thing, that narrative of being poor, I don't like it. I actually hate the word hustler. So, and the way that issue was introduced in the nation, and we are now being called the hustler nation, is actually like putting people backward, like telling them to believe in poverty, which is very wrong. And the funny thing is that this issue of hustler was only spread around Mount Kenya place. You are actually brainwashed to believe that you are hustlers. And we know the people from Mount Kenya are very hardworking people. They are the industrious people of Kenya. Then you have decided to make them poor, and they believe that they are poor, and then you start not giving them services, and they actually have tasted poverty in the last 1 or 2 years. They have really tasted poverty. So they should know when they call themselves hustlers. That is how hustling means.
So, George, you mean that this narrative was not sold to other people? It was only sold to the people of Mount Kenya?
The gospel was not preached elsewhere. If you look very closely, even if you go through the campaign streams that happened when the Hustler Nation was being born, I don't think it was going beyond the borders of Nyandarua and the eastern parts of Kenya. It was in Mount Kenya. It's the Mount Kenya people who are to become hustlers and to be turned into hustlers. Unfortunately, we have a breed of readers who don't see very far. So they also started singing the same song of hustling. And it didn't go far. It didn't go beyond the borders of the former central province. No, it did not. And I think I stand to be corrected if that is not true.
I agree with you. That one I agree with you that the narrative was only sold around Mount Kenya. Somebody is posting a question to you, George. MTA, Karibu. Maybe you can read the question. Can you see the question? I read it for you.
MTN News. I want to know your opinion on the new call by MT Kenya leaders on BBI, especially one man, 1 shilling. They opposed it badly. Why do they want it now? It's now because you are not in full power. Now, the issue of BBI was a very good kind of a thing that was formulated by people who had a foresight. The issue of 1 man, 1 shilling, and whatever it is, was a very good idea, and it was going to be very beneficial to the people of Central Province where the population is high. That means you needed to get more money than you get, as opposed to places where, in northern Kenya and in some places where we have very big constituencies, but very, very, very few people, and they end up getting more money than you because of the issue of the way we divide our revenue these days. And they also get some other funds on top of that, which was called the marginalization fund kind of a thing. So they end up getting so much money. So you realize a child in Garissa or Mandera, or the governor in Mandera or whatever, is able to give bursaries to children, full bursary compensation. They are living in the West. They are even able to pay for their children to go abroad to get university education with the bursary money that comes from the Kenya government. If you come to Central Province, the governor of Kiambu or the governor of Vihiga, whatever, Muranga or Nyeri, will not be able to actually fund a nursery school kid full blast, leave alone high school or primary school. They will not be able to educate a nursery school child. They give bursaries like 2,000, 5,000 max. That was why when we rejected the BBI, it was a very wrong move. And I don't know how it happened. It was going to be very, very beneficial. Okay, BBI had some other things which needed to be polished a bit, but that was one thing. Revenue was going to be better for the people, the hustler nation, as you call it today.
So are you saying, in a nutshell, that those people who supported, because when you look at William Samoei Ruto, he
Yes.
seems to have a lot of support from Mount Kenya. Are you
Yes.
saying that they were supporting him, yet they knew very well that he was not supporting BBI that was meant to be beneficial to the people of Mount Kenya?
Now that's a hard question because it's two-sided. The support of the sitting government today by the people of Mount Kenya is not there anymore. So what happens when it comes to these campaign times? And I think it's the issue of how we do our campaigns. We do campaigns by actually cheating people. We hypnotize them, and they start singing, following those tracks, those campaign tracks. And those people who participate in those campaigns are people who cannot decide. They cannot decide their tomorrow. And I am speaking this one out of very great respect. The people who participate in those campaigns and they keep on singing the songs by our politicians are people who are actually out there for that day to get maybe a packet of unga, 200 shillings, 500 shillings, or whatever is going to be thrown on their way that day. They don't know about tomorrow. They don't want to see the bigger picture of their country. And that is their actually immediate need. So they keep on singing. And when you start singing alive for so many times, it starts looking like it's the real thing. So how we are always cheated out to get the wrong leaders in our parliament, it's a phenomenon that I really don't understand. Possibly, if I was in power today, I would think that one of the things that I would cancel and phase out of Kenya is the issue of campaigning, the way we do campaigns. We do campaigns using our children, using those people who are illiterate, using people who are actually desperate for the day. And they actually spread the gospel, and the gospel is spread so vigorously that it starts looking like real. Because we are promised heaven, and come the day, like the time they were saying when the Bible comes down, or when we put down the Bible, we shall do this, 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 this. Ask them that question today. You will even go to jail.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, the name Hustler today, in fact, people are even embarrassed by mentioning the name Hustler. Because
that is why I don't want anybody to refer to me as a hustler. I'm not a hustler myself.
Okay.
I am a Kenyan and a very hardworking Kenyan. I know Kenyans are very hardworking people. They are very hardworking when they are looking for money. Well, they are very hardworking to build their careers. They are very hardworking to socialize. They are very hardworking in drinking, unfortunately. They are also very hardworking when it comes to making. You go out in the nations out here, you'll find that Kenyans have a very good name when it comes to work ethics. When we come out here in the diaspora, we have a very good name because we work very hard. Number two, we are also very, very loyal people. When you are given a job to do, we do it so well, and we make people get rich when we come out here. What happens back when we are home, I don't know what is the problem, because we are very hardworking people. Very, very hardworking. I think I have seen many. You just need to cross the border, go down south or go down west, and you see laziness in its own kind. We are very hardworking people. But when we do all this hard work, it does not translate to development, even though we are still not the least developed people in Africa or in our neighborhood. The amount of hard work we put towards our development should really be much, much better than what we have today. And then we have something else which is also something I would like to say with a lot of respect. We are also lazy in a way, something that I prefer to call consequential laziness. We are so lazy to fight for our own right. You find that we are oppressed right, left, and center, and we are still there loyal and not even wanting to know our rights. A good example, or the simplest example, I can give an example where it is common to everybody. You are stopped by a traffic policeman. You are a matatu operator, you're stopped by a police. And it is midday. Hata huna customers, gari haina watu. But you're still holding your 50 shillings to give away. Why do you want to bribe? Why is it so normal to give a bribe, even when you are not wrong? So that is laziness of actually not knowing what is your right. And if the policeman says, I'm taking you to the policeman, you start adding the money. You don't give the 50, you give 200 or the amount they demand. So why are we so like that?
So you are saying that Kenyans look like they don't know their rights, and if they know their rights, they are somehow ignorant. That is why they are oppressed, and that's how we.
Let me not say they don't know their rights. They don't fight for their rights. They know their rights, all right. They know you are not supposed to be harassed by police. They know you are not supposed to. You are supposed to get your ID card when you go to the office. You know you are supposed to get your services when you go to a government office. But when you get there, why do you bribe? You know that, but you still bribe. Somebody is mistreating you left, right, and center. Come tomorrow, come the other day, come. You know that is not supposed to happen. But you still accept, you keep on saying. You understand, somebody tell me, I've been going to the NSSF office for the last 6 years, and he's looking for his own money.
Okay.
The other problem is there, even when you know how to fight for your rights, where do you go? Because the court system is now the worst of all them all. You take a case to a court, it takes forever to be decided. And when it is decided for the person who has the money. So that is the problem. That is one of the big problems that we have in our nation. And we need to know, and we need to fight, we need to educate, we need to actually put the river back to its course, as they say. We need to put that river back to its mokaro. Yes.
So you have mentioned the issue of maybe Kenyans being very hardworking. Could that be the reason why the president of late has been promising Kenyans that he intends to take Kenyans to work abroad, America included? He keeps on saying, like now Germany requires 200,000 Kenyans, America, 50,000. Are there those jobs that the president has been promising?
Now, before I talk about whether the jobs are there or not, why are you chasing people from their home?
That's a big question.
Why do you want? Okay, I've been here for some time, and I was here during the time of Kibaki. I was here during the time of Uhuru. And when Kibaki used to come over, he would actually talk to us and say, "You guys, if you are not coming back home, okay, keep on sending the money back home. It is helping. As you put your things together, come back. Let us build our nation. Come back home. That is where you are needed most." Now, the story has changed. They're telling you, "Go away, you people. We don't need you here. We can't feed you. We can't help. Go." That is unheard of. You don't kick people out of your country like that. When everybody else is actually looking for an opportunity to come to Africa, and because we are getting into a very tricky position. The opportunities back here are getting they are diminishing, I would say. And the only place that is left to develop is Africa. And you'll find that so many people are looking for ways to come back to Africa or come to Africa and do investments. But unfortunately, when they come, most of them are discouraged because of the issue of bribery, nepotism, and stuff like that. Now, you ask me whether there are jobs.
Yeah.
There are jobs out in the West? Yes, because I don't know which are the kind words. You are coming back here. Most of us, will come back to the West to do all those jobs that these people don't want to do. Okay? They are actually colonizing us a second time. This time, they are not coming to colonize us in Africa, but they are coming, we are bringing ourselves to be colonized here because you come here to do the dirty jobs.
No,
The dirty job. That is what is there in plenty. Then you realize that the population of the West is actually getting older and older. People are getting older. They don't have young people anymore. So they're also looking for young people who can do those jobs that require young people exploited on. Now, unfortunately, when you tell people to go there, are you giving them facilities? Are you facilitating for them to move out and go to those countries legally? Or are you just telling them to start coming illegally? Because now, when you come to the West or you go to any other country and you don't have papers for that country, you literally become a slave because number one, you are underpaid and you can't complain. You are misused, you can't complain because you fear to be deported. And number three, you are a fugitive. You have a very difficult life. But if the government talk to the government so that you come here, when you come here as a nurse, you come here as a qualified nurse and you are employed as a nurse, yes, that would make a lot of sense. And the jobs are there. The jobs are there. But when you come illegally here, whether you have a PhD degree, they do not recognize that degree. And you have to do the same chaotic jobs that are done by everybody else. You would imagine a whole Kenyan doctor will come and will have to go for a small course called HHA or house help care or something like that, just to go and do housework. Whether you come with your papers, of course, you can't produce your papers, you are here illegally and everything, so you are nobody recognizes whether you went to school or not. You have to go for those 2-week courses and then do that job. That, of course, is far. Okay, it might even pay much more than the doctor in Kenya, but the expenses here are as much. Because when you compare the prices of stuff that you have to pay, the bills that you have to pay at the end of the month, and the amount of money you are getting, you are actually just living the same life. It's only that you are not jobless.
So, George, two things happened today. Yeah, one, the CS, that is the Cabinet Secretary for Education, postponed the opening of the school, though it happened late into the night when everybody was asleep. What is your take on that? The second issue, we have had floods. I think 3 villages were submerged in a called Maimakio in Naivasha in county.
Yes, I saw.
Unfortunately, we seem not to be prepared. And again, we have not seen the president coming out and maybe trying to kuambia watu pole, kuambia what is happening. Karibuni, guys. This is George Bagara, all the way from US, and he has just come to join us and maybe give his take on the issues, especially the issues to do with our country. So, George, what can you say about our CS?
Now, the issue of schools, that is a shame because this is common sense. Whenever there is a tragedy like what is happening right now, that is not a decision that should be taken the last day in the small hours of the morning. That's when you are writing a circular to say the schools must not be opened. There are people who need to travel to go to where they go to school, so they had traveled yesterday, and possibly they were found by that circular when they were already in school. Now, when it is raining like this, any sensible parent would not have sent their children to school on this issue. So why can't the government see this? Then I think the issue of the CS issuing that circular that late tells me something about that CS. That CS cannot do their they are not self-motivated, or they don't have the capacity or the authority to actually make decisions as it pertains to their ministries. Possibly he had to ask permission from the head of state, who I understand possibly is not even in the republic, and so that's why a decision like that one might come late, because the CS could not make the decision, and if he made the decision, possibly there were consequences. I think that is it. It was a stupid move, one of those things that should not happen. Being ready, and for those people who are given jobs, either they do not know how to do the job, or the other thing I have said is the issue that the decisions of the nation are made by one person. So the CS has to be directed, or he has to ask permission, can I do this? Possibly that is what it is. The issue of dams breaking out and killing people. This is the perennial problem. We are never ready for anything. We are never ready for anything. We do not follow the laid down codes of doing things. Buildings. People build houses on top of rivers. I remember the one time somebody saying you could move the river so that they build there where the river used to pass. Those are things that we don't follow the laid down codes. If a dam like that could break, that means that dam was not properly built in the first place, and possibly the government had no idea that dam existed in the first place. That's another thing. So we do infrastructure just the way we want. There is no laid down procedure, or if there is the laid down procedure, we don't follow them. If there are, we have engineers, we have people who are very qualified engineers. They don't do their work. Why? Because the opportunity to do that job is not there. The government is not interested. They don't check. It's the hustle thing, kind of a thing all over. So a dam like that, a dam is not supposed to break. It is made to hold water when the rain comes. So when it breaks, it means something was wrong in the first place. We can only sympathize with those people who are dying downstream. I don't know what to say, but definitely the issue is that we are never ready for so many things. When you see rivers in Nairobi City, that tells you there's something in there's a problem in our plans. Also, there is also something that I would call also personal responsibilities. We throw garbage right, left, and center. When it rains, a little rain, all the drainage systems are clogged up. And that one, possibly we cannot blame the government wholesale. We also have ourselves to blame. Why don't we have personal responsibility? Why do we just throw garbage right, left, and center everywhere? And when the garbage actually now, because it's the garbage that is killing us, because I think the flood situation would not have been as bad as it is if the drainage system was working, or the mega drainage system that is there, if it was working, maybe the floods would not have been as bad as they are today. Something like that.
I also came to realize that, George, that although they were talking about a dam breaking the banks, that is in the Kijabe.
Yeah.
I came to realize there is no such dam. What happened is that the water was blocked somewhere at the tunnel of the railway. So you know the Rift Valley, vile kunakaa. So what happened? Water was able to collect there just like a lake. So over flooded, that is when the water now swept the whole village. So there was running like a dam there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So had somebody kind of done the way you prevent water, maybe for your farming and stuff like that? Well, it's still a dam of some kind. But the question is, well, did anybody look and and see that this thing can be dangerous or something like that in case of rains?
Yeah, we have also seen people maybe in some highlands like in Muranga, and actually we have seen mudslides. And in Muranga, somebody
that is now the other question we should be starting to get ready, or we should be ready about. We know Muranga, we know Meru, we know Kisii, we know all those hilly places. What is going to happen now? We are going to have landslides. Definitely. We are definitely going to be having landslides after that much rain. It only needs to get dry like for a week, and then the earth will crack, and then the rains come again. We get all those landslides, and then we start having new stories. And we start blaming God. It was an act of God. Msiba imetokea.
Okay. In all this, we have not seen the president coming out. What can you say about this? Is he not empathetic to the voters?
I don't know what to say, because I don't know what is happening in the ground, but I have seen people complain that the government has not said anything, or they are not doing anything about the issue, or they are not addressing themselves to the problems. And today I think I saw a video somewhere where the deputy president was telling people to move. My question is, where are you telling them to move to? And when they move, any contingency plans? Do you have at least maybe tents or food for these people when they move out of their homes? Because when you tell somebody to move out of their home, of course they don't carry food, they don't have the basic amenities, they don't have anything to cook or whatever. Somebody's calling me. I have to decline this call. I hope it doesn't interfere with the video.
Yeah.
So do you have plans for these people? We have seen refugees come in. We know the refugee camps in the northern part of Kenya and also in Garissa, what do you call it, Dadaab and stuff. The United Nations puts their tents and stuff, and these people are able to live there for years. So you're telling people to come out of their homes, and I don't think, and you're not even telling them where to go. So what is that now?
That is where the problem is. And I think the government seems not to be prepared, because what we have been doing, we have been budgeting for emergencies. But once the emergencies come, we still not the money, and we start borrowing. We start going to the phone.
Let me tell you how to prepare for an emergency is. Here, we always compare ourselves with the best. We always do. So when it comes to when we go wrong, we start saying, or we start now bringing that thing of we are still poor, we are still hustlers. Let me tell you something that might interest you. Here, when an emergency is just about to happen, when there's or something, let's say a child is kidnapped or somebody has been kidnapped and everything. What happens is that you get a telephone message on all the telephones in that locality. They are able to push what they call the push messages that so and so has been kidnapped in this area. If you see this vehicle registration, such and such, please report. That is a simple way of telling people of an emergency. Now, in every estate or in every location, like now where I stay, this estate, there are places where they call shelters. Shelters are usually either churches or big halls or big municipal establishments where if anything, if the siren sounds that there's an emergency, you know where you are supposed to go. It has never happened here since I came all those years, but I know, and I have stayed in two places. And the first thing you get introduced to when you move to an estate is where you're supposed to run when there's an emergency. When there are floods, this is where you would go, and we have never had floods. I've been here 16 years. And if there is any kind of emergency, you are prepared. You know what you're supposed to do. And this is taught even by children in school, they are told. So, and as I was telling you, the issue of now telephone connection. Kenya is one of the more highly connected countries in the world when it comes to telephony. Believe it or not, and I know somebody's gonna start saying maybe this is not true. Kenya is better connected in telephone than USA. You can
What do you mean?
Google that. Yes. There are more people in Kenya percentage-wise who are connected to a cell phone than it is in the USA. I think this happened when M-Pesa was introduced, so that almost every adult in telephone.
That is true.
It is true. I'm not. This is not jamba. It is what it is. We are better connected when it comes to telephony than the people in America. So, in case of an emergency, we are even better placed to pass the message better than America would. Because if we put that message on our phones, and you just need to call Safaricom, can you pass this message to all Kenyans that there is a disaster coming? That is just something they will do by just a push of a button. And everybody knows. You don't have to wait for a circular that is typed to be taken to every school that the schools are not open. You could have done that yesterday afternoon or yesterday evening, and everybody would have been safe.
Oh, that is cool. That is cool.
Why do you need that? Is not rocket science.
I agree with you.
Yes, that is not rocket science. If there is cattle rustling, you can pass that message by phone before you start ferrying those Asian helicopters there.
Yeah. Now, let's move to something else. When you look at our country, we look like we are missing Vision 2030. We look like we are not focused. And we have always been comparing ourselves with Asian tigers. Sijui South Korea, sijui Malaysia, sijui nini. Where do you think we have been getting it wrong? And when you look at William Samoei Ruto, do you think focused? to Vision 2030. And when you look at his team, do you think they have the ability to achieve what our forefathers had planned? Because when you look at our country, our forefathers have a very clear map, a very clear plan of what they wanted. And I think that is what helped Mwai Kibaki. When he took over, because he had a vision for this country, he was able to implement this vision. But now, when you look at the current leadership of William Samoei, Gachagua, and the others, they look like they are. What is their take on this?
Now, Vision 2030 was a very visionary kind of a plan that was put down. I think it was Kibaki, right?
Yeah.
It was the times of Kibaki when they came up with the Vision 2030. They took some technocrats who did plans and laid out plans. Now, that was a very good plan. Are you asking me whether it's achievable? It could have been achieved not in that years, but it could have achieved in far much shorter time. By the time we started doing the issue like Konza City, the Tattoo City, and all those things, I think they were all in the Vision 2030. And I think the lab sets, railways kind of a thing, Lamu Port, and all these SGR things. Yes, we could achieve if only we do the things right. Did we have good plans? Yes, we have always had good plans, better plans that you would ever dream of. Let me give you a very good plan that we had long time before Kibaki, but it was never implemented, and that's why we are where it is. During Moi time, Moi put a delegation to go to Singapore, I think to Singapore, to go and benchmark about our their social security services, because the social security in Singapore is like top notch. So Moi, with his intellect, he put a big committee, a whole half plane went to Singapore to find out and to do the benchmarking about their social security. So they went and they were welcomed in Singapore. Welcome Kenya delegation. Bari ya kwenu mzuri, sit down. They sat down. Akaambiwa, give us what is your mission here? They said, I don't know whether it was Singapore or Malaysia, one of the two places anyway. And they were in a big conference, and you can imagine the delegations we send out there. Sometimes we send big delegations to do nothing, when only one person would have gone and brought the report back. They were sat down in a round table. And I was told, what is your problem? They said, we have seen that you have the best social security in the world. We want to compare ourselves with you. We want to know how you did it. We want to do benchmarking so that we can also implement that back in our country. So they'll ask, you guys, where do you come from? They said, we come from Kenya. We are from Africa. And of course, you can imagine they were as proud as me, because I'm proud of my country. Possibly, hey, tumetoka Kenya na kila kitu. So they were told, okay, fine, no problem. We shall give you what we did. And we shall give you the blueprint of what we did and how we implemented. So that when they got the blueprint, it so happened that the blueprint had been borrowed from the Kenya government during Kenyatta. It had been borrowed from the Kenya government after independence. The plans that were to be our social security were borrowed by that country, and that's what they implemented. Really? So the guy said, our plans came from your country, and now that we have implemented what you gave us as the first blueprint, in fact, we were thinking of coming to your country to ask you guys what next. What? So what are you asking? Should we give you back this blueprint you go and implement in your country? Can you see the shame or the irony of that? So Kenya has good plans. We have had very good planners in the whole world. During the independence period, during the Kenyatta time, we had people like Tom Mboya who were renowned good planners. During the Moi time, we had people like Anyang' Nyong'o, who is renowned as a very, very, very good planner. During Kibaki time, we had people who are very good planners. They do planning. The planning is there. They have very good plans, very good blueprints for everything. Kibaki brought the Vision 2030. Very good, perfect plan. Is it implemented? That's the question. And when implements coming, when we come to the implementation part of it, we eat the money. We borrow money, we eat the money, and the plans stay in the drawers. That is what has happened. So when you ask me whether Vision 2030 would have worked, it would have worked in the 60s, not even today.
Yeah, that's a
Could
very
have
good.
worked in the 60s. When it comes to food, something like food security, surely.
Yeah,
Kenya, we have sunshine from January to December. We can plant, we can grow crops from January to December.
right.
But we will always be seen time and again coming to America, going to Canada, going to Ukraine to beg for food. People who have only a window of 3 to 4 months to do farming. Those are the people who are feeding us. And do you think these people will ever respect us for this?
They'll never.
We don't look serious. We don't
Yeah,
look serious. They have 4 months or 6 months during summer to do their farming, to feed themselves, and keep enough for the animals and keep enough for us in Africa.
but we are seeing the president saying that he has a plan. Do you think William Samoei Ruto has a plan? Because he has always been saying he has a plan.
I
Which
believe him.
seems
I believe he has a plan, but the question is, does he believe in implementation? Mipango
allowed.
iko, it has been there, so he's not the first person to have plans. Plans have been there for a very long time. Very good plans. Even Nairobi planning, the city planning was done long time ago. If you remember very clearly, during the time when Raila Odinga was the minister for roads, I think,
Yeah,
he actually surprised us when he went actually demolishing one of those posh neighborhoods in Nairobi because that is where the roads were planned.
that
Long
is
time
it.
back. But people went to build there. So the plans are there. Maybe you just need to open a few drawers and you find beautiful plans for Kenya. The plans are there all the time. Many good plans. They are there.
So the problem is implementing these plans.
The problem is corruption.
Yes, the problem is corruption.
The problem is corruption. And I don't know where we got this habit of corruption in every sector. We are so corrupt that sometimes we are even called that we steal from one pocket in our hip pocket and you put in the other pocket because you are stealing and you are forgetting you're stealing
That is
your own
interesting,
money.
George.
Because we have borrowed so much money which is supposed to help us, but it doesn't help. We start even talking about that we are so much in debt, no, so we need to raise taxes, blah blah blah, and we don't even follow the laid down procedures of doing things. And we are not the most borrowed country in the world. And as I said, we always try to compare ourselves with the giants. So have the giants been borrowing? Yes. America today owes 11 trillion to China. They borrow.
How
Japan
much?
borrowed 150% of their GDP. They borrow. Are they struggling with basic issues like food and roads and stuff like that? No, they're doing other things. They borrow, and there is no country that can actually progress without borrowing. Even in a personal capacity, there is no way you will be able to be successful if at one time you never borrowed anything to develop what you are developing. You have to borrow. Debts have been there time immemorial. Even in the times of Bible, we see people who would borrow sheep and goats and stuff like that just to continue. So borrowing is not a problem. The problem is what you do with what you borrow. If you don't
The,
do what you borrowed for, then you'll have a problem. And then the issue of taxation has been a big issue in Kenya. We don't kind of understand taxes, and I don't know why we pretend not to understand. We have very good people educated. Last year, when you are implementing this, what we are calling the
2023 financial.
finance bill, people shouted on top of their roofs and everywhere. They say, you cannot hike taxes and expect to progress. In fact, if you want progress, what you do is that you lower taxes to create opportunity to do business, and then you will have more people or more companies who will pay taxes to you. But when you start overtaxing people, what happens is businesses close. Those people who have been paying taxes stop paying taxes, and everybody was telling everybody, I mean, the whole nation, this what you're doing is wrong. Now, did we hear that they could not even meet their tax target now, this time round, the first quarter? They
Yes,
could not
they did.
make even what they were taxing before. And have they increased taxes? Yes. Every Kenyan is crying because you are taxing the wrong people, the wrong places.
But maybe I think it's because they are taxing and at the same time they are stealing. So most of the money is not that.
I don't know, but the issue of the theory is if you overtax people, if you raise taxes to the basic man, what happens is that business is closed. So people lose, unemployment rises, unemployment goes high, and that is how you miss your targets. When it comes to taxation, we are wrong. We are completely doing something wrong. We are not following the norms that taxation is supposed to happen.
It becomes difficult because when you look at the country, nothing seems to be working. When you look at the country, George,
yes,
any meaningful project that is taking place. So, guys, for those who are joining this channel for the first time, this is George Bagara, all the way from US. He is our guest, and he is actually addressing the issues that we've always been talking about here. And it is better when we hear somebody's opinion, because he is a Kenyan, only that he's living in US. So, George, when you look at our country today, again, our health sector is in crisis. And literally crisis. We talk about crisis. The doctors are on the roads. Wakiba mapabano, bado mapabano. I think this is the 47th day. And while this is happening, we are seeing floods happening, and then the people are rushed to hospital. When they go to hospital, there are no doctors. This is the situation in our country. Where are we getting it wrong, George?
we are getting it wrong because we always don't put we put our priorities wrong. There is some sectors that needs to be taken care of for any thriving community. You cannot have progress if you have a sick nation. If people are sick, there's no way they can be of any economic value. So when it comes to the issue of health and health, it's a very delicate sector. You need to pay the doctors. You need to pay them well. These people, as it has been said, they spend about 6 million, I think, to go through school so that they can become doctors. Then you start saying you want to be paying them 50,000, 70,000, surely. Yeah. This person invested 6 million to become a doctor. And then he comes and we expect him to work for you for free because it's like working for free. So you need to pay the doctors, and even if you don't have that big money to pay, you need to seem to be doing something to their welfare. We mistreat doctors, we mistreat teachers, we mistreat the police. Those are the three arms of our economy that need to be looked up upon very carefully so that we can move from point A to B. Otherwise, we shall just be marking time on point A. Doctors on a time. I really don't want even to think what is going to happen after the rains when we start now getting cholera and dysentery and all those waterborne diseases, because they are going to be there. Are we ready for them? Now the doctors are on the street, as you say. So how can we talk about being ready for that? Yeah,
That would be very, very
crazy. It's crazy.
yeah.
Then we seems to be also be dilly-dallying or doing a lot of gymnastics with our education system. We need to sit down and know what we want for our children. The schools, the teachers, we need to be serious. We need to be serious. We need to be serious. Then the police are always corrupt, because when you look at the Kenya police, surely sometimes you even wonder how they are expected to do their jobs. I worked in Garissa. Well, that's some time back. I used to work in Garissa, but the police there, or the way I used to see the police, the conditions they lived in, surely we are not serious. We are absolutely not serious. And sometimes when they take the bribes, even though I know also the bribe is also another pipeline that needs to be discussed, it becomes a habit, and they also develop it and start becoming rich because of the bribes. But for them to start taking the bribes is the condition of the conditions of their work, and the kind of pay they receive. Uh, these people are not well remunerated. They have
We
to
are
live sometimes like you find a group of like 6 men living in one tent, and some of them have even families. It's crazy. And we start talking about tunawajengea manyumba. Why don't you first build for those policemen? Make them comfortable. Build for the police. There are not so many. Jengea hao kwanza before you start saying you want to jengea everybody else.
Well, that's very interesting. That is very interesting. And I agree with you that the government need first to actually build better houses to the policemen. And now, when you look at all this, you also see an element of tribalism in Kenya. For instance, when you look at our cabinet, you see it is a group of two tribes. One, who is a Kalenjin, and Rigathi Gachagua. Now, how are we supposed, when you look at our country, we are supposed to integrate and achieve national integration. But now it has become very, very elusive because of tribalism. Now, do you think if we continue this way, we are going to build a nation as envisaged by
I always say Kenya, we create problems because in the 21st century, I would want to say very, very, very clearly, and I'll give you a few examples. I don't think Kenyans are tribalistic. Absolutely not. Tribalism comes with leaders. It is the leaders who are tribalistic, or they are the people who, because they want to get their votes, they actually start playing the tune of tribalism when the elections come. But today, I don't think Kenyans are tribalistic at all. Let me give you a very good example. When 2007 happened, and I was in Kenya then, I was just about to leave Kenya then. When 2007 happened, my children will come back from school and ask me, Dad, what tribe are we? And from that time, that's when I realized actually tribalism does not exist in Kenya. The leaders are the ones who hype up tribalism. And of course, when it comes to appointments and stuff like that, that's when we start seeing tribalism. But the person who lives in Mathare, it doesn't matter whether your neighbor is a Luo, Kalenjin, Mkamba, anything. Those people behave like ordinary human beings and they help one another and they can lift one another until when that truck singing hustler thing comes driving by their neighborhood. That is when tribalism starts. Otherwise, Kenyans are number one people who are very cohesive. It's only our leaders who are not. It is only our leaders who are not. My friends, I myself, actually are not people from the Kikuyu family or the Kikuyu tribe. I have friends all over, very good friends, people who I can trust with my everything. In fact, my best friends have not been even the Kikuyu people. And I think that's how I look at it. Tribalism just exists in the leadership, top leadership, by the way, and when it comes to parliament. That is when tribalism is always played. Otherwise, if we did campaigns without using the issue of tribalism, Kenyans are very cohesive people, very, very cohesive. And they don't practice tribalism. Why is it? By the way, Gachie, you have children, I would guess.
Yeah.
Do they even speak Kikuyu?
No, they don't.
So what tribe are they? If you ask them what tribe they are, they won't even know. I don't think you yourself have a problem with anybody just because it's called a Kalenjin or a Luo. I don't think you do. Because if you did, I'd be so surprised.
Problem. And that is why I wonder when
then who is tribalistic today? It is not that it's not the common Kenyan. It is not. It's not. It's not the Kenyan who is tribalistic. It is our leaders who use the issue of divide and rule. And since the only division can only happen two ways here, it can either be a tribe or it can be now. We even saw this time. In fact, ilitoka kwa tribe kidogo. It is now two issues: the rich and the poor, the have and the have not. That is the divide and rule today in Kenya.
I agree with you. When you look,
and that is why the issue of the hustler came, so that you are being grouped in one group of the hustlers and those people who are not hustlers who are being called the dynasty, so that you vote for the person who is looking for your vote. Otherwise, tribalism should be something that does not happen in Kenya. It is not there. It only happens once every 5 years.
George, I agree with you 100%. Because, for instance, when you look at the Kikuyus been doing, when it comes to the elections, if you come from Mount Kenya, you only need to say Raila is a madman. You only need and start accusing Raila moral digger for nothing. Yet we know Raila is one of the people who has fought for the second revolution. When you look at all this, you realize that these guys have been doing it to achieve something. Because by selling this narrative of tribalism, they are capable of whipping up emotions such that people can vote for them. But when you look at the Otieno, the Wajikos, the common Mwananchi, they have too much. They have nothing in conflict. But because these leaders want to achieve, they want your vote, they now start telling you Raila is a madman. Raila is a bad person. That's a message. And maybe
the bottom line here, as we say, it is our leaders who actually play the tribal tune when they want their votes. If you go to a marketplace, go to Karioko market, go to Kenyatta market, go to any market, go to Gikomba, you'll find everybody is intermingling there, buying. Unakuta, this is somebody selling omena, huyu anauza ngwashi, huyu anauza. These people, they live together, they know one another, they are the Kenyans we know. And that is how it is. There before, during our time when we were younger, in the 60s, Kikuyu were not eating fish. Kwa sababu fish ilikuwa ni ya watu wengine. But it's not like that today. We moved away from that completely. Absolutely, we are not tribalistic. We are not tribalistic. We are only tribal when it comes to elections. And this brings me, and I might be crazy. I've always been thinking, can elections in Kenya be done in another way other than the way we do them? And we have a very wide avenue where we can do credible, simple, and not even expensive elections and be able to get our leaders instantly. Because today we can use our phones to vote. It has happened elsewhere. It has worked. It is easy, perfect, and easy, and it gives instant results. And there would be nobody fighting. We have companies like Safaricom who can conduct the Kenyan election like in one day and finish up everything business. And we shall have our leaders like 6 in the morning, in the evening. So why we have to go procuring ballot papers from Italy, like billions of money, just to go get the typed papers? Seriously. And we have companies like Deraru who do money, not even papers, they print money. But you can't trust them. You want to get ballot papers from Dubai or from elsewhere. Some of these things and the way we spend our money does not make sense. Absolutely doesn't make sense. Why? Because we don't trust one another. Is it the Kenyan who doesn't trust one another? No, it is the leaders who don't trust one another. They don't even trust themselves. Why do we have a whole government press there? These days we don't even print books. Why can't it do the ballot papers for at least one election in 5 years? They can't be able to do that? Seriously?
So I'm saying we can vote using our phones and have credible results.
Why not? Why not? If I can put my money in M-Pesa and trust that my money is safe all the time, why can't I trust one vote for one day?
Now, what about people with more than one phone?
Sorry?
Are they not people with more than one phone?
No. I'm not saying that you just pick a phone and vote. You have your ID. There are those ways of verifying who is voting. Of course, there's somebody who doesn't have a phone, and that person is not to be victimized. He can use somebody else's phone, so long as he has their own ID. I mean,
I get the point. I get the point.
I mean, if you work up the roadmap, it's something that is possible, it's practical and easy and very inexpensive. Instead of us buying sets, what do you call them? Kims, I don't know what you call them. You have to buy them every time you are doing an election. And then when you buy them, it always ends up in the Supreme Court because nobody believes in them. Nonsense.
They are not a scheme skit. Now, look at our deputy president. Let's focus on the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, who is a heartbeat of the presidency.
Yeah.
When you look at him, when he was sworn in as a deputy president, he started by making mistake. That of office, made some few mistakes here and there. started talking about the country that of shareholders, the government would only still deal with those people who voted for him. And then when Raila came, unajua alikuwa amesema ataweka mitego, nobody would go closer to William Samoei Ruto, and he would castrate Raila Amolo Odinga. But today, when you look at the situation is a bit different, because there seems to be a soft handshake between the president and Raila Amolo Odinga. Do you think Gachagua was biting more than he could chew?
He's just being a Kenyan leader. That's what they are. I don't know. Without being personal, I think he's just a standard Kenyan leader because things have to go his way, and when they are not going, then he goes back to the public. When they were throwing away Uhuru, the strategy was to abuse, kick, demonize, and make all those things just to see that they get the vote of that person who was beholden to Uhuru. When that happened, or whichever way they got their votes and got in there, now that was not the most important thing. The most important thing was to stay. Now we see it seems like he's losing touch from the bigger core, and now he needs the public, which he needs support. So that's why he's changing the tune. So I can only say that he's that leader I cannot trust. He is not genuine. He's not there for genuine leadership, or he's not there to do what he kept on promising. He was just there for his own good. Now that he got his 2 billion back, every hyena for themselves. I don't trust him.
And remember, according to the court, that money was proceeds of corruption. Janet is asking you a question. Janet is asking you a question. Maybe you can answer.
Janet, did Gachagua go to my Mahio to display his?
How do you vote in USA? That's the question. How do you vote in USA?
Well, I'm not a voter here, but what they do is that voting here is very. If you are to vote the way they vote here, you would never know who the winner is, because here there are some people, there are some things that is called early voting. Okay, and there is the day of the voting, people who vote there, and there is also something also called voting by mail. So as we sit here, the election in America has already started. Believe it or not, there are some people who have voted for Trump, and those people who have already voted for Biden in some states, because
How
is
is that?
what they call early voting. You just get your vote, fill in your vote, post it, put it in the post office, and it is taken and kept until the day when the election date comes. I don't know whether they open them beforehand, but there are some people who have already voted, hands down. So just before the voting day, the voting period, there are those people who cannot make it to the voting polling stations, whatever it is. Those people are also, and then the old people, those people who find it inconvenient to go to the polling stations, they can ask for their ballot to be brought home. They fill the ballot, put it in an envelope, and give it in, and it's taken, ready for counting when the voting happens. Then there is the voting day. When the voting day comes, they also fill forms to vote. They actually mark their ballot, and that ballot is actually scanned. So the result is kind of illiterate. It's a hybrid kind of voting. So all those systems happen, and the results come the last day. I don't know whether if something like that happens in Kenya, some people would have voted like 1,000 times before the voting day.
Leaders being leaders. Is it
Sorry?
not something?
I didn't get that.
I'm saying because I've listened to what you have said.
Yeah.
And leaders being leaders, power is very sweet. Everybody would want to eat. Don't surely. Like now, I remember.
I don't want to say that it doesn't happen. I don't know what it is. Very, very rare. I have never heard of like people go to court when it comes to rigging. Of course, you guys have seen that Donald Trump have been saying that he was rigged out of everything. But did he go to court to pursue that? I don't think so. I don't know. That one is a topic I would not want to diverge because I am not sure. I don't know. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But of course, there's usually the talk of rigging, but it's not like the way you know it in Kenya. No. You know, in Kenya, every time you are defeated, you are rigged out. Here, most what happens is that when somebody are very fast and very quick to congratulate the person who made it instead of you.
Oh,
So,
that is good. Okay, George,
that's a topic I think I don't want to talk about the US elections. It's not anything I would speak with any authority of any kind.
This vet Nyoro who is asking, which state are you in, Mr. George?
I am in New York.
Oh, that is good. That is good.
You know,
So,
New York is a state and a city. New York is a city. New York is a state, and its capital is called Albany. It's not New York, but New York City is in New York State, and it's the biggest city in America, and of course, maybe the world.
okay.
So I'm in New York City, in New York State.
Okay, that's interesting. Many people don't know that. Now, if I may ask you, George, yeah? When you look at Kenya, how do we confront this dragon of corruption? If you are the president, or if you are the advisor of the president, this dragon.
Let me tell you how I would do it. I would do it.
You?
It is so difficult as a president or as a leader to do this business called corruption. There's only one way that was tried to beat corruption in Kenya. It almost worked, but it stopped because there was going to be chaos. Now, corruption, I think, is a personal thing. It's us who are corrupt. It's not the government. It is us who are corrupt. And if you want to know it's us, you just need to listen to Uhuru Kenyatta when he said $2 billion shillings are being siphoned out of the government coffers every day. And he was like, what do I do? What does he do? Yes. What does he do? There is a way of doing it because it has been done elsewhere. Because I remember, I think it was in Singapore in 1982. They passed the bill in Parliament, and everybody who was corrupt then, or somebody who had a small scandal, was actually arrested and put in prison one day. So they were rounded up. I think they were rounded all the corrupt ministers, officers, and everybody who had anything to do with corruption. And they were put in prison that same day. And since that day, that's when corruption ended in Singapore. Today, in Singapore, they have only 1% of poor people. The population, 1% is the poor people. They have a 92% literacy rate. That means 92% of people can be called educated. That means those are people who have gone through high school.
Yeah.
And 90% of the money there is white money, what you call white money. Hakuna magendo. Yeah. And unemployment is only 1%. So can you see the poverty and unemployment is 1% for both of them? So corruption is us. We are the corrupt. And unless we change, it's not good. I don't think there is much the president can. And as and he might have all the good heart to say we stop corruption, we stop corruption. But the problem is he genuine? No. Is he corrupt himself? Because there is no way you can stop corruption yourself if you are corrupt. If there is something you hide somewhere, you can't tell me to not be corrupt, and I know you are corrupt. Because I will practice my corruption and tell you, Chairman, if we talk, I talk. So that is how corruption happens, and that's how it never ends in Kenya. So until the day we put a president who is mweupe kama pamba, as they say, who can have the courage of actually getting the corrupt people and putting them behind bars, and they will not have a chance to blackmail him, that is when corruption will start getting lower. Kibaki tried. When I remember when Kibaki came to power the first time, the public actually were arresting police officers, and it started becoming chaotic because every police would take bribe. The Raya would come out and start beating him up. So they stopped it because it was going to be anarchy. If you remember very well, during Kibaki, people used to arrest police people.
I remember witnessing an incident.
Yeah. So actually, the issue of corruption in Kenya will have to start from the ballot. Vote for a clean person to go to those offices. That is how corruption will be able to stop. Otherwise, you vote somebody who had a scandal ya mahindi, scandal ya sijui nini, scandal ya fertilizer na nini, and then you bring another one down here who is poor and he wants to get, he will practice corruption. And if you threaten him with jail, he'll tell you, si uliiba hii. Sasa nini unaniambia? So that is the story. Corruption is progressive. But
Okay,
to
this one.
eliminate it, we just need to put good leaders. Do we have good leaders or have we had some? Yes, we have had some good leaders. A good example was Mishuki, Kibaki, and some few that are worth mention. We have had good leaders, but they have not been very effective.
Now, as you still talk about corruption, we have Mithika Linturi, who is the CEO of Gachie, and you have seen fake fertilizers, yani bolea imechanganywa na mavi ya mbwa, mawe, nini, and the guy is still in office, and the president has bothered to fire him, and he has not even bothered to resign. If it were America, what would have happened?
What would, if it was a case like here, what would have happened is very strange. I think that person would have already resigned himself, even without waiting to be sacked. Yes, that is what would have happened. So if you are caught in a scandal of some nature of that kind, the first thing that happens is those people step aside. If you are caught with corruption, or you are accused, or you are taken to court, or somebody says you have done that, even if you have not done, these people are so gracious. They just move aside, say, do investigations. If I'm in the wrong, niende nikiendaga. Yeah, that is most like, of course, the minister in such a case is not supposed to be in office as we speak.
Now, like now, when you look at that case, you see the president has bothered to fire him, and we have seen the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has not even arrested. The DCI have not done anything. Can we say that they are part of these deals?
Well, let me not say that. But it is funny that there is no action that has been taken. That is a very serious thing. It entails actually the nation, the feeding of the nation. There's going to be like a shortage of food because of that. So this is a very big thing, and I don't know why they are taking it, or they don't find any reason to address it. It is something that should be addressed with urgency, and those farmers given their fertilizers the way they're supposed to receive. And the person who should be held culpable should be somewhere very deep in committee.
Yeah. Because the way I view it, I see it as an issue of national security. We are threatening national security. Because you see,
that is national security. That is something that is actually even beyond national. That is actually playing with the food basket completely. Absolutely, that person should be very, very deep somewhere in the coolers of committee. There's no question about it.
But now this shows the problem we have with our cabinet secretaries. You look at them; some of them have been found with their hands in the cooking jar. Others, mambo ya sijui edible oil scandal, sijui wanatia tumeleta mafuta ni mabaya. All of a sudden, mafuta finds its way in the supermarket shelves. Wakati mwingine, we have the sijui what vitu hivyo, counterfeits all over. In fact, according to I think the Auditor General, alikuwa anasema our economy is 1 trillion counterfeits in terms of electronics, in terms of these are countries. What can you say about that?
Is that a fact that everything is counterfeit?
Including the phones. Maybe the phone even I'm missing, maybe it's counterfeit.
No, that is where when we get ourselves to lack of standards, lack of that's a failure by the government in a big way, because I remember there was the issue of cooking oil, when the cooking oil was like, if I don't remember very well, it was I tried to follow the Kenyan issues. I think there was some time there was cooking oil which was not fit for human consumption. Hiyo story ikaenda hivi, then the same oil was put in the market and it sold. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
So now that's so corrupt. That is so bad. Then when you start talking about counterfeit things, when you talk about phones, we don't make phones in Kenya, do you? So they must have found their way in there somehow. And we still have the Kenya Bureau of Standards. Anything important in the Kenya is supposed to go through those vetting companies like Bureau, is it Bureau Veritas and stuff? They're supposed to give a report for anything that is imported into the country. How does fake stuff pass all through those safety nets and end up in the Kenyan market? It can only come through somebody with a connection somewhere. Otherwise, it's pathetic. And especially when you start getting fake items from outside of the country. I think that's the worst, because you're actually losing the money wholesale completely. When you buy something which is fake, that means you gave your money for no good reason at all. And the foreign exchange is so rare. So that's bad. That's very bad.
It's also this issue of unemployment in Kenya. And I think the rate of unemployment in Kenya is at 67%. Yet, it's actually 67%. Yet, when you see 67%, and if you ask me, this is a time bomb. And the youth can explode. And that is why you see there is this idea of people going to Maju. Everybody wants to go to Maju. People applying for green cards. I've never seen such huge crowds of people trying to apply. So when you look at employment, I do think it's a time.
So when did we get there? 67%. How did we get to 67 unemployment?
It is
this is 67. Is it real or is it a typo? As you are saying. Because 67, that you are telling me for every 100 people, 67 people are jobless.
But that is the case. And that's why you see them drinking to die.
You see, the issue of unemployment is also something that comes with the ethics of the country. During our times, when we were going to school, we used to have technical schools, whereby by the time somebody left high school from a technical school, that person needed, and those are the people who have built Kenya, that person did not need to be employed by anybody. They would be able to do their stuff. So when we brought this business of 844, we actually abolished the technical schools. And so we don't have people with a technical mind in Kenya today. Tuko na watu wale wamesoma historia, Kiingereza na nini, and they were going to school. After school, they just knew that they needed to be employed in an office. Those offices don't exist. And that is why you find so much unemployment. And you also find people who are also looking for laborers to do jobs that could have been done by the people who did technical. And that is also why you find people who do shorter jobs, because the people who are doing the build of Kenya did not get any training, basic training. Ni wale wanaitwa fundi wa mkono, anakaa kwa fundi wa mkono, anakaa kwa fundi wa mkono, anakuwa fundi. Akianza akikuwa food, then he becomes a foreman. So these are the people who are building Kenya today. And that's why you see nyumba zinabomoka left, right, and center, because these are people who do not have the skills. They did not go to school. They are not trained for that. And then the 60%, 67% could be built because those people expected to go to the offices. The offices are not there. They are not there. Na mtu amesoma mpaka university, he has gotten his bachelor's degree, and that person, you can't tell him to go sasa tena naye aende mjengo. So that brings up the population. That means kuna kazi, there's a lot of work to be done. But the people to do it think they are supposed to do something else. When they come abroad, and I'm not saying that people wasitoke Kenya wasiende abroad. They come to do the jobs wamewacha Kenya. That is one thing that we also need to appreciate. They come to do the jobs they can't do, or they left in Kenya. It's only that in Kenya, those jobs don't pay. You'll find a Kenyan or anybody else from around the world. You'll find a Chinese person, an Indian person, a Nigerian, and everybody. Amekuja hapa, kazi yake ni kukata nyasi. Amenunua lawnmower, akona pick up na nini. All what he does is go around cutting people grass. That person makes enough money, all right? It's not a job that is, it's not a bad job. Anakata nyasi kwangu, anakata kwingine, anafanya gardening na nini. That person is able to make life, the ends meet. Sababu that is the kazi that is available here. Unakuta mwingine ameandikwa kazi ya kuangalia watu wazee kwa nyumba, just keep them company, blah blah blah, take them out there, unaenda kuwatembeza. Those are the jobs that are here. Hawakuji kuandikwa kwa ofisi, hapana. That's the job that wamekuja. So what I say, that's that. Those jobs, they are back there. They are back there. And then also, those people who are supposed to grow the industry, by the way we do our education, the industries are not growing. It is a shame that I, an old person, I'm 65 years today, my friend. I can say when I was in primary school in Vika town, we used to have very many industries, which are not there anymore. So are we supposed to be having more industries after 60 years, or are we supposed to have killed the ones that were there? I know they were used, Kikomi, Nad Brothers, Metal Box, Kenya Canas, textiles. All those textile industries were in Thika. Today they are not there. Absolutely. Zilikufa. So are you expecting that kazi zimekuwa ama zitapungua? And the population have grown. When we got independence, the population of Kenya was only 8 million. Believe it or not. Today we are 55, 50, we are almost going to 60. The industries that were being serviced by 8 million people are no longer there. What do you expect? Why did we kill the cotton industry? It used to employ so many people. We used to make foreign exchange when we exported our garments. We used to make clothes. Instead of bringing in mitumba, we used to make kikomi, we used to make rivertex, we used to make very good fabrics, and everybody would be able to wear clothes that are dignified, that are not used by other people. We used to export materials. Now today in the 21st century, we have the EPZ where they import raw materials that we used to produce before. They import, make those garments in EPZ area of the river, and they export those things to USA because what is made in the EPZ cannot be sold in Kenya. Something you never understand. And they're importing everything to make things to export. Now, if we had kept our cotton industry, Kikomi would be making the jeans material, give to these people, make the jeans and export. That way we would be making heads of them. But what is the big deal? All what we are exporting here is very cheap labor. And that's why we are being used to make jeans for America. They bring the wanalete material, wanaleta uzi, wanaleta the machines. Wewe ni kukalia hiyo machine, kukata, kuweka jean, alafu hiyo jean inawekwa kwa paketi na rudishwa kule ilitoka. How we do seriously. Seriously. And those guys are paid peanuts.
What do you mean?
EPZ people, those people who stay in Kitangela, just find out how much they are paid. And they work like 24 hours.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. So that is how we killed our economy. Number one, killing the industries. Killing the industries. Number two, bringing businesses that kill more of your industry than actually. I always argue, and what was in the baby hapa kwa ubaya, which is better, to grow cotton, make the clothes, do the garments, export the cotton, or is it easier to bring in mutumba? Which would make more money for the country?
Growing the cotton.
Yeah. So it's actually sometimes it's just the priorities. The priorities we put. When I came to Nairobi in the 80s, we used to have very organized transport system. There was Kenya bus, and they were moving side by side with matatus and everything. Things were, the life I'm having in America, in New York City, of a bus that I can come out and go to a bus stop and check what time the bus will come, was what was happening when I came to Nairobi in 1981. I would start somewhere in Kenkom, and I know bus number 23 to Buruburu will be coming at this time, and it would be there. And there would be a matatu if I was in a bigger hurry than waiting for the bus. Those things work so well. Tulikula Kenya bus, tukamaliza. tukaleta nyamba, tukakula, tukamaliza. Now it's like chaos. The transport system is all what people complain when they come to Kenya. They say Nairobi is good, everybody, people ni wazuri, lakini the transport system is crazy. Because it is crazy.
Yeah. And then when you add now the many road accidents, you can now imagine.
Yeah. The road accidents is also now the I don't know. There are so many problems in Kenya. Sometimes I wouldn't even want to be the president because where do you start?
That's why I call it. See, unajua,
there are so many problems because the issue of the issue of road accidents. Number one, drunken driving. Okay. Number two, unroadworthy vehicles. Number three, bad roads. All those three things put together, definitely you will die.
And you are seeing now.
Can we do anything about it? Yes, we can do something. Number one, like here, I have a car out here. That car is not a public means car, but every car here is inspected every year. It has to go for inspection, given a sticker as a roadworthy vehicle. You can't drive a vehicle that is not inspected every year. Sio ati nini, every year, whether ni gari ya transport ama ni gari ya personal. So all the vehicles on the road are roadworthy. People follow traffic rules to the letter. If you go and find a red light somewhere and it's at 9 ya usiku and there is nobody passing, you can't pass that light.
You must stop.
You have to stop. Because if you do, it's a big penalty. Yeah. So discipline. We lack discipline when it comes to our roads. If we don't practice discipline and also now the road regulations, we will always have those accidents. Then the roads. The government should be able to do good roads. Sometimes they don't have to be like state-of-the-art roads, but at least that pothole has killed so many people. Why is it still there? Okay?
Yeah.
Potholes, road bumps, because that's also another nuisance that kills people, and I don't know why we keep on insisting on putting those road bumps. They kill. Actually, they kill more than they protect.
That
You will find somebody going downhill somewhere, make waves. You lose control, and Gary was not going to kill anybody. It ends up killing the driver. So some of these things, I think, just needs to be re-examined and start doing things the right way.
What about the chopper crashes? Because I think this year you have seen 5 choppers crashing in Kenya. What about that?
I don't know. That one I have no idea. But what I have, because I expect these are the Air Force or the Army choppers that are diving from the skies every time. There must be a problem. There must be a problem. One problem that I know is that maybe these helicopters are not in good service. They are not serviceable, or they have gone beyond their service lifespan. I heard they are using this Huey whatever helicopter, which was being used by America in Vietnam. Those helicopters I think they were commissioned in 1956. What are you doing with a 1956 helicopter in the 21st century? In the most, in the Kenya Army, why? No, this is not understandable. 1956. I saw something very good happen last week? Kagame was given some of those helicopters, told them keep them at Staki. Why do you have to accept gifts of the people when they don't have use for them? That's when they are bringing them to you. Because I'm sure most of those are gifts to the government. And when they are given as gifts, you are told that we use this money to buy helicopters. Because mnaona helicopter imekuja, but the money has to appear somewhere. Is it not what happened with the fertilizer? The other time we got fertilizer gift from Ukraine. You are told unauzua fertilizer by cheap, and it was a gift.
What do you mean? Was it a gift?
Yes, it is rumored there was a gift from Ukraine. You got free fertilizer for free. That's the one that was being sold for, I think, 2,000 or 3,500. It was a free gift.
It is
so the government did not spend anything, but they were making money out of it.
UDA guys are and wanajitanua kifua telling Kenyans that we have lowered the cost of fertilizer and now you can produce enough for the country. And you can see how Uhuru Kenyatta used to sell fertilizer at I think 5,000 via flood. All this is campaign gimmick. So guys, those who are joining this channel, this is George Bagara from USA. He has a channel. You can go there, subscribe to George Bagara, and he's a very, very important guest today with us. And he's telling us so many things that we need to know, because he has lived in Kenya, he is in New York City, and he's telling us. So guys, like the video, comment, ask him any question you'd like to maybe him to address, because he is here. So George, when I look at
before you go on, let me recognize Janet Wangeshi, who has said something that I really like very much. She says, when people learn that we don't have another country except Kenya and be patriotic, then they will elect the right leaders. That's a very good thing to say. I like that one, Janet. That is very nice. Yep.
Yeah, Janet, you find her on your channel. So what we are saying, I was asking this. When you look at our representatives, the members of parliament, the senators, they're supposed to provide oversight, representation, and make laws. Those are the three cardinal roles of any member of parliament. But when you look at members of parliament, what they do is like they are lobbying for the executive. So when you look at our government, we are supposed to have three arms. That is the legislature, and that is the executive and the judiciary. But when you look at all this, they look like they're handmaids of the executive. So what is wrong with our members of parliament? Is it that they don't know their role? Or is it that they are bought, as it is alleged? Because in Kenya, it is said that for you to vote, like now, the 2023 finance bill, what happened? I remember William Samoei Ruto telling them, wacha nione yule mtu ambaye atapiga kura kupiga hii mambo ya nyumba. Wacha nione yule mtu ambaye atapiga kura kupiga huu mswada. So is it that they don't understand their role? Is it that they are ignorant? Or is it that they are bright? What can you say about it? And when I want to compare this with what happens in Congress and maybe the Senate in US. George.
Yes. Now, this one is a long one. This is a topic that can take the whole day to discuss. Number one, our parliament, we have elected people who actually do not have a heart of coming to represent you or to fight for you or to represent you or to make good laws for you. They are business people. They have gone there to make money. Number one, because you can't convince me that I can use 1 billion shillings just to get elected to go and represent you. There must be something I'm going for. There's no question about that. The vigorous and the campaigns we see are actually for not people who want to go and represent you. They are going there to make money. So our parliament, hands down, most of those people who are there, I think we would have a hard time picking out those people who have gone there for representing people or making laws for this nation. They go there to make money. And it is very evident when you look at the debating in our parliament. It's such a shame to see them when they go there. They have whistles, others are heckling, others are standing up, they don't obey orders. It's just chaos. They should at least sometimes open their radios or TVs and see the debating just next door in Tanzania, where a parliament sits. You can even enjoy the proceedings of a parliament because these are people who are talking passionately about what they believe in. Ours is just shambles. It's just like a shouting. It's just like a marketplace. Very, very shameful. When you start talking of how they vote when it comes to bills, it's also very funny. How it does not seem like common sense to vote for the right thing. You know, they vote for, I think they vote for the highest bidder. Definitely. Because like the finance bill, and it is something you should actually look at, that I can hear somebody like Gachagua actually saying they made a mistake or they did not read the bill. Surely, but it was too big to read. That's why they passed. They missed out something. Honestly, telling a reason like that one is like even abusing the Kenyans.
Mm-hmm.
So they vote for for their
Stomach.
paymasters. I think they vote for their paymasters. They don't even think. They don't even debate it. They do not even read the bills. Because when the debates are going on, you will not see that parliament with people. The issue is there's a lack of quorum because they did not come. Unakuta, there are about 10 people, 20, they are not there. They are not there to debate. Come the day of voting, half the parliament, the ones who are voting for the bill, will be present. The other half will still be out there doing their own businesses. That is not representation. I don't think that is the vigor that we would have associated with when they are doing their campaigns. So they are just campaigning to get there and join those committees, join those and trips abroad to just make money. And of course, when you use all those millions campaigning, I think the first order of business when you get there is to get your money back. So we don't have representation. We just have people who are going to do wanaenda kufanya kazi huko to get their money. The executive is very insensitive of what they are also elected to do. Because the issue of telling people, let me see who is going to vote for that, then why are you voting them in the first place? They are the people who are supposed to make a decision. Why is that thing being taken to parliament if you know the result, or you know what you want, or you know what must happen? And if they don't vote your way, they are under threat. In fact, to be threatened when you're in parliament is one of those things that should not happen at all. Absolutely. That was wrong, and nobody came out to actually complain about it because I think this time somebody should have come up and gone to whatever and say, no, the president can't start threatening people to vote one way or the other. He's not supposed to do that. It's wrong. And parliament should be independent enough, as we are supposed to know. They're supposed to be independent enough to vote for what is right. And 1 year down the line, they are coming down to tell us it was a mistake. Are they
Yeah.
writing anything to correct that? Because there's going to be another finance bill this year. Are they going to withdraw those taxations? Are they going to withdraw all those things that are hurting them 190? I don't know.
I think, George, you are right. You are right because most of them look like just voting machines. They're just there to vote and to please the executive.
They are worse than voting machines because at least the machine, you put the right thing so that it votes. These ones, I don't know. It's such a disappointing thing. Also, the way the business of the houses happen is something that leaves a lot to be desired. Because, okay, when there is a parliament or there's Congress and everything, there is also that thing that is called horse trading. Okay, we do this, we do this. Like here, we have two parties. We have the Republicans, we have the Democrats. Those are the main people in the House. And when the Republicans have something so pressing that they must pass it, because at times there comes when something like that comes, and the Democrats, when they are debating, because they go for their debates, they do what is called horse trading. Okay, you want us to vote you for this? Because they can never pass. That's the other thing. They cannot pass a bill by themselves. They have to have support from this other side. So if you want us to do this, there is also something also we kept pending. You have to do this for us to agree to this. Something that is debated in the open. So even if something is passed which is not favorable to everybody, at least even the losing side gets to get something they have held dear for a long time, and it never happened because the other people did not support them. So that's what is called horse trading. They trade horses. So by the time the bills go through, it comes with other things that are good for the other parties out there. That is how they do it. Yeah.
I understand in Congress the Democrats are the majority, but the Senate, the Republicans are the majority. Could I be right? Could I be wrong?
This time round, it's like they are okay. I don't know exactly what, but it's so balanced. Even if they are the majority, it's not a majority that would win cases. You have to get votes from the other side. They're usually like just close to 50-50. Yes.
So when you look at Parliament, is it Parliament that is failing, or is it the president who is actually trying to control Parliament? What is the problem here? The executive or the president who feels that these guys should play his widow, they should bow to him? Or is it these guys in Parliament who do not understand their roles?
I I don't know where to put that one, because if you say they don't understand their roles, of course, there are those written down. They can read and know what they are supposed to do. So they should be able to read and know what they're supposed to do. So when they don't do what they're supposed to do, I don't think you would call it ignorance. There are those avenues where they can get reference. So when they do what they do it out of their own free will, or they are driven to do what they do. Whether they are practicing what is supposed to be done is, I think, somebody's lack of knowing that they are supposed to be independent. Why don't they know that they are supposed to be independent? Parliament is supposed to be completely dependent of the legislature. You're not supposed to be discussing stuff in Parliament just because the president said this must happen. You should have the independence to say no to the president and say yes when he's right. So if you are a yes man all the time, then you certainly don't know what you are doing there. And if you do, I think I don't know what to say. You are there maybe just to be used as a rat of some kind.
Yeah, because when you look at the executive, when you look at the president seems to be interfering with the other two arms of the government.
Yeah.
Because remember, there was a time he called the judiciary. He looked like he summoned the president of the Supreme Court, that is Martha Koome, and Martha Koome seems to be bowing to William Samoei Ruto. She seems to be controlled by William Samoei Ruto. The fact that she went to State House, the fact that she could even negotiate with the president, and then the president would come out and say, we have agreed about the affordable housing, and then the cases are still in court. So the president seems to be the problem, because he's the one who is not allowing the other institutions to work independently. And if they don't pray according to what he wants, maybe they'll be denying funds. So
well, the issue of the president summoning the chief justice, summons is a bad word to use, but what I would expect is that this government, which has three arms, it's one government with three arms of whatever doing business. I don't see anything wrong if they can sit down to discuss of a good way to do things, okay, for the betterment of everybody. But it's not for the president or the executive to go and tell the judiciary how to rule a case, because that's what he wants. That is wrong, period. That is wrong. In fact, discussing a case before the court already is what they call, what do you call it? That, whatever. Sub judice or stuff like that. So that is when you have weak officials, they are likely to be manipulated also, because that I would call manipulation. Because the Chief Justice has a permanent tenure, and she cannot be served by the president, whatever her decisions are. So she should not be influenced by making a decision by the president in fear of anything. Okay? She should not be feared. And if you are there by qualification, you should be able to do the right thing all the time.
Okay,
so telling me that they were being actually asked to actually pass the housing business or housing levy and stuff like that is very wrong, because most Kenyans did not side with that, and that's what they didn't want.
Okay, there's also this issue of Raila Amolo Odinga going for the chairmanship of the African Union Commission. And when you look at now the oppositions somehow look like they are somehow disorganized. And if you ask me, by now, they're supposed to have identified a presidential candidate who is going to face William Samoei Ruto. Do you think Raila is going there out of his own volition, or maybe he's being pushed by William Samoei Ruto?
I don't know. I was surprised to see Raila going for that seat and also abandoning even ODM. That was a big surprise to me. I don't know. I have no idea why he's going there, and if he's going there because he was paid to go there, or that was his former whatever, that was his handshake, as you would want to call it, then I will lose a lot of confidence with him. He has done well for our nation. He has really fought for Kenya. He has really made many things happen. He's actually derailed so many of the bad things that would have happened to us.
Yeah.
So I don't congratulate him for the number of the number of counties that we have. I've always thought there are too many. The bloated governments, those ones, I think we need to do something. But all in all, Raila has done good for the country. And if
Yeah.
he has been enticed to take that seat to get out of the opposition politics, he will lose for some few points from me.
Mhm.
The existing opposition today,
Mhm.
rightly, surely, the way you say it, it looks very disorganized. They don't
Yeah.
know what is going on. They don't trust one another, and we seem not to have any person who can take the role of Raila, like to bring the opposition together, to be their manager, because at least they need somebody who can direct them which direction they are going. They look like lost sheep.
Mhm.
And if we are to trust somebody like Kalonzo is somebody who is known to change overnight,
Mhm.
and he is not very, according to me, I don't think he's a very firm person when it comes to opposition politics.
Mhm.
He is not. So they need to put their act together. They need to stop their greed and also now start thinking of a serious, formidable opposition,
And
which is
now,
not, because there's no opposition in Kenya today.
okay, without more Odinga, who do you think can play that role very effectively? Because I think William Samuel Ruto is not pushover and requires a strong person, an
Mm,
organized person, and
mm.
somebody who is also going to give him a run for his money. Do you see somebody in the opposition who can play that role?
Uh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I have lost touch with the Kenyan politicians, but I don't know of anybody right now who can fit in the shoes of people like Raila or
What
or
about
who.
Mother? What about
Or
Mother
who could
Karua?
be a very good politician, but of course, I don't know. He decided to quit politics completely. He's away. People like Jonathan Moy, what do you call him? What do you call him? This Moy guy,
Mhm.
not Jonathan.
Peter
What do
Kenneth,
you call him? Hmm?
Babo, you know,
No. Babu, is still too kiddish. He needs to grow up first.
Mother
He needs.
Karua.
He needs. Mother is too hard. She's such a hardcore that she also loses focus because of her character.
Mhm.
She's a very good person, very straightforward and everything. But when it comes to difficult issues, she loses focus because of her principles. I think she's too hard. She doesn't budge for anything other than what she believes in. That is usually her weakness. Otherwise, as a person and as a leader, she's one of the best leaders we have in Kenya.
Don't you think, George, that Mother can fight corruption and slay the dragon within a short while?
Let us put it this way.
Yeah.
She is good. She has performed very well where she has been. She was the Constitutional Affairs Minister. She was at one time a water minister, and she did very well. She
Yeah.
has done very well in the judiciary and everything.
Mhm.
But remember, she actually walked away in protest. I think was it from Kebaki's government?
Mhm.
She could not resist resigning. That is not
Yeah.
the kind of person. It's just like the way this guy called Igade resigned from Soko's government.
Mhm.
That person, can we trust him? That's a dent. That's a
Yeah.
no. That's a dent. Why do you
Mhm.
walk away when things become too difficult? You don't fight on.
Mhm.
I think that's something we need to look when we think of people in those high places. If you are there to fight, you have to fight when it is hot and when it is bitter. So
That is
that
it.
one she lost a few points.
What about Matiang'i? I think Matiang'i can actually easily defeat William Samuel Ruto.
I did not see all the best of Matiang'i. All what I know is that he's a very firm person. He looks
Mhm.
like very effective when he decides to do stuff, because when he was the education minister, really he did a lot of stuff. When he
And IT
became the internal security, he also did a lot of stuff. I think he has the he has the balls.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But I think when I look at these leaders, especially these cabinet secretaries who
Who-
are in Mugai Kenyatta's cabinet, they look
Uh-huh.
like They are very much afraid. They don't want to come out. And when you look at even the relationship between the former president and the current president, you see it's kind of cold. There is no good relationship. What is
I don't know. That one I don't want to talk about because I really don't know. There's something that really baffles me because until the day we shall know what happened between Uhuru and Ruto,
Mhm.
the way they came in, they gave us a lot of hope when they came in 2013. But what happened between them? Actually, I don't know whether there's anybody who can tell you what happened. How did they lose touch? What made them actually become such bitter enemies? I don't know. I can only speculate, and I don't want to
Yeah,
speculate
it's
anything.
not two of them who can
The
tell us.
enmity between the two groups is also now what I call kind of uh, not being patriotic about your country. I should not be calling your enemies my enemies because we are friends.
Mhm.
So it's not very mature the way they behave, but I don't know. Maybe they
Mhm.
have their own stories.
Mhm.
But we can't start creating enemies by proxy. Just because you don't like so and so, when you are my friend, I have to hate him so that I
Yeah,
remain your friend. It doesn't
yeah,
make a lot of sense. It does not
yeah,
make a lot of sense to me.
yeah. I also agree. I also agree, and I think it is not good for the country when you keep cold shoulders when they don't see eye to eye. It's not healthy. It's not even a good example. And maybe there's something that they have never told us.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, we need to know. We need to know where they fell out, what happened, because it must be a very big thing. The way they had started very well, and they did quite a bit. They really did a lot. But when they started falling apart, they became so bitter enemies that you don't understand. There is
what?
somebody called Rile Wangari. Rile Wangari said there is a guy from Kisii based in USA who has offered to contest as president in 27. Mother Karwa can do a good job than Tash and one hand tied and eyes closed. But nobody is a malaika.
It
I
is
don't
true.
know. Winnie Coril says yes, but I don't know she says yes to what.
I think nobody is perfect, and we
That is
all have
true. That is true. That is true.
we all have
What I know about mother is exactly what I've said. I know she's a very firm person, very very firm, and she believes in justice. That
I think
one, I think I can give her that.
she
But
should have
she's
made
also very very hard. She's not a negotiator. She's not a negotiator. She will not negotiate her. I think she's too. I don't know. Let me not put too many words.
she could have made a very good deputy president for Raila Amolo Odinga.
Maybe she would resign somewhere along the way.
I think it would be difficult to resign as a deputy president. Let me
Mhm.
ask you see the same fate that befell William Samoei Ruto for befalling Rigathi Gachagua?
I'm not a prophet, but I think so.
When you look at William Samoei Ruto, you
Yeah.
see, like now they are having what they are calling party elections, UDA party elections. Although
Mhm.
it is absurd because it is happening when people are dying, when floods are raging. So
Mhm.
if you are, they should have stopped these elections, this election nonsense, and concentrate with the rescuing Kenyans, feeding Kenyans, sheltering Kenyans. That's what should have happened.
I
Uh,
agree. I agree with you totally. The issue of party politics is not anything urgent. I don't think it's important to many people. That is something that can be shelved indefinitely when we have a crisis like we have. And again, who is going to vote now? Those people are still being drowned. Ah,
the irony of it is that they are carrying ballot papers and
hmm.
taking them flood victims, telling them to vote in
Why can't
schools
they
where
take food to them instead in the first place?
that's the funny thing. There's the madness of our government.
That one, no.
So I was saying now, when you look at the elections,
Mhm.
look at the constitution of UDA. UDA has one party leader and 3 deputy party leaders. And this is now where the problems comes, because if the people of Mount Kenya are not comfortable, they are saying if we should have 3 deputy party leaders, then we should have 3 party leaders, because according to them, this one is meant to clip the wings of Gachagua and elevate Mudavadi. So in fact, people believe that come 2032, if William Samoei to be lucky enough to win the presidency, is I doubt, or Azimio is going to be more organized. Because if you ask me, William Samoei to is the easiest candidate to defeat, going by what is happening on the ground. But now the problem is the opposition. So I think in 2032, if William Samoei will be lucky enough to be the president, he's not going to support regarding Gachagua as a presidential candidate. I remember he even promised Mudavadi that when the time comes, they are going to pay in kind. What do you think about that?
It just means that. It just means exactly what he said. We're going to pay in kind. It means just that. I mean, there's somebody who is supposed to read the message. It is already written in the wall. Gachagua has no future in even 27. I don't think he's going there anyway. But I don't know much about UDA politics. I think I only know a few players, so I can't be able to really comment about those 3 deputy leaders or whatever they call themselves. But for Gachagua, he should have. I think he has read the writing on the wall. The writing is already there. You can see. He's already seen. Apologizing to Mamangena and the Kenyatta family, you could tell now things are not working right. He's just there by the fact that he can't move away.
So, George, let me give the next 3-4 minutes, maybe address Kenyans before we end the show.
Maybe I will just be saying bye-bye. I'm happy to be here. All what I can say is that we should continue to be very, very patriotic, very proud of our country. Kenya is a very good country. And when we talk of corruption, we should start thinking of ourselves. Let's not think about that leader first. Am I corrupt? Yes, I have been corrupt. Stop corruption. Point out corruption. Pick corruption. Talk about it. Don't hide anybody. That is the only way we are going to start this business of stopping corruption. Unless I stop corruption, nobody else is going to stop corruption. So let us be patriotic to our countries, to our country, and it's a good country. That one I can tell you free. It's a very, very, very good country, Kenya. I love Kenya. I can't wait for October for me to come back home. Now, as the Skyman have told you, I have a new channel. It's called my name, George Mbagara. I think somebody can put it there. It's a new channel I'm starting, and I'll be talking about issues about Kenya, about corruption. And I'm going to change the name of the channel very soon. I want to remove my name there and give it a name that reflects Kenya properly. And just to get out of being so personal, I'll put a name that will be able to enhance what I'll be talking about. But mostly, I'll be addressing the issue of corruption. And if I get a case of a person who has been corrupt and there is evidence about it, I will be bringing them out. We shall be ile tunasemanga tutakuwa tunawatoa masuruari in public. Because that is also something that should happen. If that is the only way that can get Kenya rid of corruption, then we have to do it. We shall do it without kupaka watu matope, but if you are corrupt, my channel tells you be very afraid. Tutakotoa hiyo masuruari kwa public. And with those few words, thank you so much for having me here, Gachie, and thank you so much. Wale wametusikiza, and bye-bye.
George, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time, for your candid talk, for your advice, for your take, and even for sharing what you know or what you think about our country. I think more importantly, the fact that you have given us hope, the fact that umetuambia kwamba bado kuna matumaini, to us is very, very encouraging. and your patriotism, you can see it from your heart. We support you. We shall come to your channel, invite me as a guest. I'll come with my people, and feel free next time when I call, please come again and again. Hatutachoka, nazungumza mengi. In fact, we have so much in common, and we shall be meeting. Hii si mara kwanza, tutakutana mara nyingi. Anytime you come to Kenya, feel free to visit us. Kuna wageni wengi, and I think we shall be very, very much interested with your channel, ili tuone utakuwa na yapi, because nobody knows it all. Kwa Kikuyu tunasema utadhiaga au no. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Have a good day. Be blessed. Bye bye.
All right. Nitoe. I don't know.
Sawa. Wacha nikutoe. Wacha nikutoe.
Okay. No problem.